All right, I know a lot of you have been waiting for most of this day for this injury update, and it is in, and I think that it's generally good news for the 49ers. But first, I'll start with what we don't know. Christian McCaffrey is currently undergoing an MRI as we speak. So we don't know if it's a rib injury or an oblique injury. Kyle Shanahan just said, I hope it's not both. What this MRI determines will give us a probability for Christian McCaffrey's availability on Monday night against Minnesota. Christian's not even sure which play he was injured on. Christian gave the coaching staff about 4 possibilities today, but he isn't sure. I mean, the first play of the game, he ran into the bench. I think a lot of people were saying, oh, maybe he got hurt on his first carry when he ran into that bench. It was a long, long carry. He got pushed out of bounds. There was a personal foul called against the Cleveland Browns. Maybe that caused the oblique or rib injury. Nobody knows. Maybe something later. Christian, again, listed 4 plays, and he couldn't narrow it down beyond that. So we'll wait to see what Christian McCaffrey's official status is after this MRI comes out. I will tell you, and this is now a little outdated, and I know I said it yesterday, I briefly spoke with Christian in the locker room yesterday. He thought that he was going to be fine, but he had to undergo that testing, and that testing is happening right now with the MRI. All right, moving on. Deebo Samuel, day-to-day with a shoulder injury. Deebo's injury actually happened on the very first play of the game from scrimmage. It was a jet sweep. It was a big part of the 49ers game plan to neutralize that very aggressive Cleveland defensive line and that front 7. I mean, the linebackers were firing up the middle as well. Something happened contact-wise near the sideline to hurt Deebo Samuel's shoulder, but we know how game adrenaline works. He didn't immediately feel hurt. It took a few minutes. And after a few minutes, it started to feel weird. And then it felt worse and worse. Then Deebo Samuel went into the blue injury tent. And then he found himself heading to the locker room. His day was over. Kyle Shanahan did not offer more specifics beyond day-to-day shoulder injury. So we don't know if it's an AC joint, what kind of sprain it is. But we do know that day-to-day sounds a whole lot better than week-to-week. We do know that the x-rays came back negative for Deebo Samuel last night. Those were conducted at the stadium in Cleveland. So seems to be a really good chance that Deebo Samuel's back for Monday's game, back for this week of practice. I think the key thing is you can't have both McCaffrey and Samuel out and expect to maintain offensive efficiency. They both complement each other. They're adaptable weapons, right, that can play running back or receiver. It's really nice to have at least one of them, and it's borderline disastrous when you lose both of them during the course of a game in which you've game planned around both Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. And I think both of them, especially Deebo, was a big part of the game plan against the Cleveland Browns. And that's exactly what afflicted the 49ers yesterday. Trent Williams, left tackle. He played through his ankle sprain. He is now day-to-day. The big news is that it is not a high ankle sprain. That is a dreaded injury. The low ankle sprain, that gives him a chance to be back against Minnesota this week. So this is going to be, something that the 49ers monitor. Trent obviously left the stadium in a walking boot yesterday. He was limping around pretty good in the locker room. When he first got hurt, he toughed it out and got back in the game, and you have to commend Trent Williams for that. He said he had been losing sleep over his matchup with Myles Garrett. It was the first time that those 2 future Hall of Famers locked horns on an NFL field. And Trent didn't want to abandon his team. He didn't want to make Myles Garrett, or didn't want to make Jalen Moore face Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett would have been very happy to face Jalen Moore. Trent Williams did struggle, though, in the game yesterday. I think that's definitely worth noting. Trent Williams gave up 4 pressures. Myles Garrett was doing some good work on his side of the field, especially in the run game. On that one screen pass early on, this might have been before the injury. It was on the second drive. It was the screen pass that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah blew up. Trent Williams just got thrown to the side by Myles Garrett, and I think gave you a really good idea of how strong Myles Garrett is. But still, Trent, top-graded offensive lineman in football, huge part of this 49ers offense. He's day-to-day with a low ankle sprain. And then special teams ace George Odom has a quad contusion, and he is day-to-day on the injury report for the 49ers. So 3 day-to-days, Deebo, Trent Williams, George Odom, Christian McCaffrey currently undergoing an MRI. So we're going to have to wait for final word here. But I think that all things considered, it seems like relatively good injury news for the 49ers on this Monday after the loss. There are no week to weeks in there. There are no fractures in there. With Christian McCaffrey, he's got to undergo the MRI, so maybe still something pops up. I doubt a fracture will pop up, though, because I'm sure they've already undergone x-rays, and those will typically show up there. But some other stuff can show up, obviously, and they're looking at the ribs and they're looking at the oblique. And we just have to see. We can't know without that testing happening. Kyle Shanahan spoke about other stuff, not just injuries. Not pleased with the 49ers' missed tackles in this game. He said it felt like watching the film of the run defense. It was the most missed tackles that the 49ers had all season, and he would be correct. The 49ers were in the double digits in terms of missed tackles for the first time this year. And the run defense is something that I'm going to scrutinize over the course of this week before they play Minnesota. In fact, it's Central Time right now. It's 5:06 p.m. So we are just about a week away from 49ers Vikings. It's going to start at 7:15 p.m. next Monday. So the 49ers have an extra day. That is why they are not staying back in either Eastern or Central Time, because of the added day that Monday Night Football gives them. They flew back to the Bay Area last night. They're going to have a chance to lick their wounds, recover here over the next couple of days. The practice week will resume on Thursday. Friday, Saturday practices. I think they'll fly out on Saturday to Minneapolis. Sunday, walkthrough in Minneapolis. Monday, game in Minneapolis. And then it's going to be a quick turnaround. Short week to face the Bengals. So this next two-game stretch is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. Joe Burrow seems to be healthy again, playing a lot better than he was early in the season. And the 49ers are going to be coming off of a short week in travel to face Cincinnati at home. So that's going to test their depth. That's going to test their resolve. And one thing that they do know is they'll be entering a bye week after that game. So they definitely don't want to lose that one, because you do not want to enter that bye week with a sour taste in your mouth. But first, Minnesota, the 49ers have to get off of the schneid here, because they are right now on a one-game losing streak. So how do they respond to that? That's going to be the story of the week. It'll be definitely a new test for a 49ers team that has not been coming off of a loss since, they came off a loss, obviously, in the NFC Championship game, but they didn't have a game coming off of a loss. So they haven't been coming off of a loss since Kansas City last October. The Chiefs came in and beat the 49ers, and since then, the 49ers ripped off 15 straight regular season wins. If you exclude the game against Philadelphia, where they lost their final healthy quarterback, they ripped off 17 straight wins. Two games. That's the length of an NFL regular season. So the 49ers have been playing awesome football. Finally met a loss in Cleveland. It was Brock Purdy's first bad NFL game. And now the 49ers have to regroup moving forward. All right. So let's open this up to some questions. We've got a few minutes here for you. We're going to have 49ers grades a little bit later. I have a few graphics that I can probably show you right now to kind of tease that, get the grade situation ready. Here they are. Put this open on the screen. This is run defense. Notice that the 49ers are in the bottom right. This is defense as a whole. The run defense is on the y-axis. The 49ers are right here. They're below average in run defense after giving up 160 yards against the Browns. Second best pass defense in the league, behind only Cleveland's. That's on the x-axis. But this should visualize a new problem for the 49ers this year, run defense. And I asked Kyle Shanahan about it. I'm going to do a lot of reporting on this. I have some game tape to show you why that run defense struggled. The biggest run of the game, Jerome Ford. I talked about this on the show yesterday and could show you a little bit more of it today. Look at this. This is the Jerome Ford run that put Cleveland in position for what ultimately was the game-winning field goal. And you'll see Javon Kinlaw just completely overrun the play at the point of attack, and then you'll see about 2 or 3 missed tackles from the 49ers on just that one run. End zone angle is going to be better. Watch Kinlaw working against 77, the right guard. Kinlaw just is going to try to penetrate, fire into the backfield. Okay, he's untouched. He's in the backfield, but it's essentially a trap. And Jerome Ford is getting this handoff, and Javon Kinlaw is not in position to defend him. So if this happens, your linebackers have to be ready to clean up. Unfortunately, Dre Greenlaw was missing this game. And with no Greenlaw, it's all up to Warner. Warner misses a tackle. Warren Burks dives in, misses a tackle. Oh, that was actually Cleveland Farrell. Don't want to throw Oren Burks under the bus, but Cleveland Farrell's trying to make up for it, misses a tackle, and then you have the 49ers just flailing all over themselves as Jerome Ford powered down the field. So it was not a good play for the 49ers yesterday. Here's another one. This is going to be, oh, it's the same one. They're just replaying it from a different angle. We got the other end zone angle. You could see Kinlaw firing to nowhere right here. The trap worked. So the 49ers need to improve that run defense. As far as other stuff, well, what do we have here? Oh, this is good. This is perspective. Look at the coaching matchup at the bottom of the screen. Mike Shanahan against Bill Walsh. Joe Montana was the quarterback of the 49ers in this game. They didn't score a single touchdown. The 49ers ended up winning the Super Bowl this year. The point is that great quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, they all have bad games. They're inevitable. Brock Purdy yesterday had the first bad game of his NFL career. This is one of the worst games that you could find in 49ers history in a season where they ended up winning the Super Bowl. This was 1988, but I just thought it was cool that Mike Shanahan was coaching against Bill Walsh. So thought I'd pull that screenshot from Pro Football Reference. Here are the changing playoff probabilities based on week 6 results. I said that yesterday's game barely changed the 49ers standing as far as the probability of what would happen related to the Super Bowl. Well, look, that's exactly the case. 49ers lost 1 percentage point. The Chiefs lost 1 percentage point based on week 6 results. The Eagles lost 2 percentage points. The Lions really surged, plus 7%. So, the 49ers and Lions are now 1-2 in the NFL in DVOA. They're the only 2 teams in the NFL that have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. So these 2 guys right here, 49ers and Detroit. I think Detroit might be superseding Philadelphia as the 49ers' top rival for that number 1 seed in the NFC. The 49ers play Philly, but they don't play Detroit during the regular season. But we got to keep a close eye on that. This was not a damaging loss, though, against the Browns for the 49ers. Okay, now truly on to the Q&A. What are the questions? Let's get to them. Deborah says that she really wishes people would remember that Brock Purdy and Jake Moody are just 23 years old. They need time to grow. Absolutely. I mean, this is you grade everything, and we're gonna have the grades a little bit later tonight. You grade everything on a curve of intelligence, right? Like you're using smart analysis to determine whether or not you want to berate a player for something that he did wrong in a football game. So if Jake Moody misses a kick, his first ever game-winning attempt at the NFL level, then you realize that he's 23 years old and the 49ers probably built in some misses, some struggles into their calculus, or they should have. And if they didn't build in those misses and struggles into their calculus, then they made a mistake. I think they might have made a micro mistake in the management of Jake Moody yesterday. I think they probably should have run another play to get the field goal try to be from a little bit closer. You probably shouldn't count on your kicker, if he's a rookie, to be automatic from 41 yards. That's a mistake that I think that Kyle Shanahan made. But life moves on. The 49ers didn't lose much in the large picture yesterday. They lost the game. They're 5-1. They'll move forward. People are still talking about them as a Super Bowl favorite. But you absolutely, when you judge these players, need to realize that they're young guys who are going to get better as the season goes along. Brock Purdy has already made tremendous strides just from last season to this one. I think his first poor game is going to be good for him. I think that it takes a little bit of suspense and mystery out of the whole thing. People were starting to wonder, when is he going to have a bad game? Well, he had one against the best defense in the league. There's no shame in that. He still almost beat them. He still recovered in time to give Jake Moody a chance to win that football game. I think that says a lot more about Brock Purdy than anything else we could have learned yesterday. So let's see how he does against the Minnesota Vikings. People are asking the same question that I'm essentially asking. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I do know why Kyle didn't run another play. He didn't want to risk a fumble. He didn't want to risk complete chaos. So I get it. But I think that at the NFL level, especially in a situation where the Cleveland Browns defense was tired, you had them on their heels. If you just play ball control, I know you didn't have Christian McCaffrey anymore. You had Jordan Mason, who's had a bit of a fumbling issue early in training camp, but not lately. Maybe you just wanted to play it safe. The problem is you play it safe in one regard, but you play it more dangerous in another. And you played it more dangerous by giving Jake Moody a longer field goal attempt. Actually, I don't think we got a Greenlaw update today from Kyle Shanahan. I'm guessing he's still going to be day-to-day because that's what he was last week after the hamstring injury. But yeah, missing Dre Greenlaw was an issue for the 49ers against the Browns. You know, I disagree here. The Browns outgained the 49ers yesterday. They were at 4.8 yards per play. The 49ers at 3.9. Listen to Trent Williams. Listen to Nick Bosa. Listen to Fred Warner. The Browns absolutely deserve that victory. In fact, Trent Williams went as far to say as if the 49ers had made that field goal, he didn't think they deserved to win. They would have stolen a game. That's great. And to go undefeated, you do need to steal a game. It's like a perfect game. You need to have that one great catch like Gregor Blanco when he made that diving catch in right center and Matt Cain's perfect game. You need to get a play that you don't deserve necessarily, right? That's what it takes to attain perfection in the NFL. Nobody ever thought that perfection was likely for the 49ers. And that's why. Because even in a game that they could have stolen, they didn't get it, right? I mean, they didn't deserve that one because all of the efficiency statistics favored the Browns in this game. Now, if the 49ers would have caught a few more passes, if Brandon Ayuk doesn't drop the deep one early, yeah, is the result different? Yes. But did he make that catch? No. You've actually got to make the plays to deserve something in the NFL, and the 49ers didn't make the plays yesterday. The Browns deserved to win that football game. How do we know that it was a horrible game plan on both sides of the ball? In all likelihood, I thought it was a decent game plan. If the 49ers executed what they had in front of them yesterday, they would have won the game. How's that a bad game plan? Brandon Ayuk catches the football on a deep pass. 49ers probably win the game. If Brock Purdy hits Christian McCaffrey on an open deep route, the 49ers probably win the game. If they make tackles, if they don't have their highest missed tackle rate of the season on defense, they probably win the game. People are so quick to toss out the word game plan. Well, I mean, how about executing the game plan? Because yesterday, execution was lacking from the 49ers. Yes, the execution was poor. Do I think it was a fumble or not? Or what, are you talking about the play earlier in the game, right before halftime, where PJ Walker got hit by Isaiah Oliver and Nick Bosa recovered what we thought was a fumble? Yeah, I think that was a fumble. I think that was a really strange sequence of events. The fact that the officials were so eager to call that incomplete right away, it's like in real time, it looked like a fumble. It was a stretch to call it incomplete on the field. It was one of those that the replay was just going to have to go with whatever was called on the field because there wasn't enough evidence to, incontrovertibly overturn it. But to me, the gut instinct of that play, just looking at the flow of the play, just knowing football, you're like, that looks like a fumble. That doesn't look like an incomplete pass, but whatever. Officials made mistakes. There was also the Tashawn Gibson play where I don't even know exactly what the letter of the law is supposed to mean in the NFL anymore in those plays, right? So it's the officials are so far into this player safety push that I think they're calling penalties on plays that don't even endanger player safety just so it looks like the league is protecting that safety. You know, it's really, really, really tough to think of what Tashawn Gibson should have done on that play. And you just leave it at that. It was a tough day yesterday for NFL officials around the whole league. All right. Anyway, those are my opinions. We are headed off into the night. There's going to be more coming. 49ers grades coming later. So we'll have A through F on every single position group in the loss to Cleveland. That's your 49ers update. It's a fairly good one, I think, on their injury front. But we'll know a little bit more after Christian McCaffrey's MRI is complete. Talk to you soon.